Good morning, children. I am your English teacher. Today I am going to start the very first unit from your English textbook. If you look at the textbook, the theme of this unit, you are going to notice that there are 3 readings given in the unit. Okay, first one is A reading, that is the snake and the mirror. Second one is B reading, the duck and the kangaroo. It is a poem. Third one is C reading, Little Bobby. But dear students, before starting the unit, let us first understand the theme of the unit. The theme of this unit is humor. Now, what is the meaning of humor? Humor means something funny, comical or comedy or amusing, something that makes you laugh. I hope you can understand that all the 3 lessons that you are going to read in this unit are full of humor. I hope all of you will enjoy it. So let us start the first lesson. We are going to start first lesson. Before going to lesson, all of you sit with your textbook and take a pen or pencil in your hand. Let us start. I want all of you to open page number 2 in your textbook. See, they have given the face sheet, humor. Look at the picture and answer the questions that follow. They have given in a picture of a forest where lion is looking at its own image in the well. Now they have asked some questions here. Number 1, what did the lion do on looking at its own reflection? First option A, enjoyed its beauty. B, felt threatened. C, felt angry. Give reasons for your opinion. Okay, when we look at the face of lion, that we understand that the lion is angry. Now, why is lion angry? If you remember the story, the lion was the king of the forest. It could not bear to see another lion in the forest, so that why the lion was angry. Next one, answer is the lion felt angry. Next question, have you ever heard or read a story of a pet or an animal looking into a mirror? If yes, how did the animal feel? Have you ever heard such a story? I am sure that all of you would have experienced taking your pet animals in front of a mirror. Suppose, for example, you take a dog or a cat in front of a mirror, how they react. A dog starts barking immediately and it won't stop. Similarly, what does a cat do? The cat starts scratching or pawing its own image in the mirror. That is how animals react. Now, do you know how humans react? When they see a mirror, right? We all feel very happy to look at mirror. We spend lots and lots of time in front of the mirror. We love now our image. Now that is not with the animals. You know, but in this story we are going to see how animals react to the last line. Okay, next. Now read the story in which a doctor describes a snake that looks into a mirror. So we are going to see this thing in the unit, a snake with looking into a mirror. And how does a snake react to soul? Let us start the lesson. It's given on the page number 3. The snake and the mirror. But before starting the lesson, I want all of you to go through little bit about the author. Come to page number 6. They have given about the author. The name of the author is Vaikam Muhammad Bashir from 21st January 21st January 1908. 5th July 1994. Still 5th July 1994. Vaikam Bashir was a Malayalam fiction writer from the state of Kerala in India. He was a fiction writer. What is the meaning of fiction? Fiction means unreal. Stories are of 2 types, real stories and fiction stories. Fictions are unreal, the imaginary stories. So, Muhammad Bashir, he was a fiction writer, he was a humanist, freedom fighter, novelist and a short story writer. He is noted for his down-the-earth style of writing that made him equally popular among literacy critics as well as the common man. Now, that is the most important element of his writing. His writing is very, very simple. His language is very, very simple. They call it down to earth. It means everyone can understand his language very easily. He is regarded as one of the most successful and outstanding writers of India. Translations of his work into other languages have won his worldwide acclaim. So, most of his writings are in Malayalam, which later were translated into English. The story, The Snake of the Mirror, was translated into English. So, here you have to understand that the story that we are going to read today is actually a Malayalam story that was later translated into English. His notable works include Balya Kalasakhi, Shabdangal, Matilukal and Anarga Nimisham. He was awarded the Padma Shri in 1982. He is fondly remembered as the Baipur Sultan. So with the background, let us start the lesson. I want all of you to look at the page number 3. At the top of the page, they have given the name of the lesson, The Snake and the Mirror. So let us start. I want all of you to follow it in your textbook. Has a snake ever coiled itself round in part of your body? A full-blooded cobra. All of us fell silent. The question came from the homeopath. That topic came up when we were discussing snakes. We listened attentively as the doctor continued with the tale. Now, what we understand from the first paragraph, a doctor along with his friends, they are sitting there and they were discussing about the snakes. Arthur was also one among them, and at that time the doctor asked the one question to all the people. What he asked, has a snake ever coiled itself round and part of your body? Coiled means twisting or twirling around any part of your body. You would have seen, for example, Lord Shiva, the snake coiled around his neck. True? Has a snake ever coiled around any part of your body was the question. Why he asked the question? Because they were all discussing about the snakes. So the doctor tells the doctor is homeopath. Now you should know what is homeopath. There are different branches in medicine. We have homeopathy, Ayurvedic, allopathy, Siddha medicine. These are all of different streams. We are mostly aware of allopathy, but he is a homeopath doctor. Let us see next paragraph. It was a hot summer night about 10 o'clock. I had my meal at the restaurant and returned to my room. I heard a noise from above as I opened the door. The sound was a familiar one. One could say the rats, and I shut the room. I took out my box of matches and lighted the kerosene lamp on the table. This is what is happening in the first paragraph. Okay, the author came out after having his dinner. He has dinner in a restaurant. Then he came to his room, and it was almost 10 o'clock in the night. So when he opened the door, he hears some noise in his house. Now the doctor says he was very familiar with the noise. What was the noise? The noise was of rats. And see finally how he described. He says one could say that rat and I shared the room. Do we share rooms with rats? No, actually his room was infested with rats. So he says I and rats used to share the room. So what he did, he came into the room. He took out a box of matches and lighted the kerosene lamp on the table. Why kerosene lamp? Now you can see in the picture. Given there a kerosene lamp is kept there. So see the answer we get in the next paragraph. The house was not electrified. It was a small rented room. I had just set up medical practice and my earnings were meager. I had about 60 rupees in my suitcase. Along with some shirts and dhotis, I also possessed one solitary black coat which I was then wearing. So here the doctor describes himself and he tells that his house was a rented house. So we can understand that he was living in a rented room and he used to have his dinner outside in the restaurant. That shows that he was a bachelor. So he tells that he had recently started his medical practice. So his earnings were also very less. Meager means here less. They have given a word, my earnings very meager. Meager means less, very less. So, and he gives the details of his things which he had very few things. He had about black coat, some shirts and dhotis. Okay, next. He had only some things only. Okay, we are going to next paragraph. I took off my black coat, white shirt and not so white vest and hung them up. I opened the two windows in the room. It was an outer room with one wall facing the open yard. It had a tiled roof with long supporting gables that rested on the beam over the wall. There was no ceiling. There was a regular traffic of rats to and fro from the beam. I made my bed and pulled it close to the wall. I lay down, but I could not sleep. I got up and went out to the veranda for a little air, but the wind god seemed to have taken time off. Now see the line. It's funny line. He says, I took off my black coat. We can understand that the white shirt, even we can understand that, and not so white vest. What is vest? The inner garment which we wear under the shirt. That is called, we will call in Telugu, banyan. We call it as banyan. So, how we describe his banyan? The vest, he says, not so white. So that an old one because of being used. So he says, I took off my black coat, white shirt and so white vest and hung them up. Okay. So, one side of the room was open. It was facing open yard. So, he opened the windows wide so that he can get some air. It had a tiled roof with long supporting gables that rested on the beam over the wall. Here, he is describing the house. How is the room? It's an old house, old construction. There were a lot of gables, right? Gables are long beams. They are all beams made with wood, on which we keep tiles. It's and very old construction. So, what we say? It had a tiled roof with long supporting gables. Gables are these beams with long supporting gables that rested on the beam over the wall. There was no ceiling, like the way we have in the present days. Okay, that's a funny thing. What does the doctor say? There used to be regular traffic of rats to and from the beam. The rat used to come and go on the beams, and what he calls it as traffic. That's a funny thing. There was a regular traffic of rats, and there was a regular traffic of rats to and from the beam. So, he got his bed ready. Make my bed means he got his bed ready. It was almost 10 o'clock. He wanted to sleep. It was a hot summer. He opened the windows. He made his bed ready and keep it close to the wall. Next. I lay down, but I could not sleep. I got up and went out to the veranda for a little air, but the wind god seemed to have taken time off. Taken time off means break. Here the wind is also breakdown. So, next paragraph. I went back into the room and sat down on the chair. I opened the box beneath the table and took out a book, the Materia Medica. I opened it at the table on which stood the lamp and a large mirror. A small comb lay beside the mirror. Now, he was not able to sleep because it was very on the bed. But there was no air. So, since he couldn't sleep, what he decided? He decided to sit and read. So, he sat there on the table and opened a book. What is the name of the book given there? The Materia Medica. Now, see the position of his sitting. So, what is that on the table? There is a lamp and a large mirror. One next to the mirror, there is a comb. Now, students, do you know what happens when we see a mirror? Immediately, we look at our image in the mirror and see whether we are looking fine or not. So, mirrors are very tempting. You know that it is why whenever you go to the jewelry shop, the thing that salesman will show you the mirror, because women love to see themselves in the mirror. Not only women, even men. You go to any textile showroom, you will find large mirrors are there. So we can look at our own human image. You know, humans love themselves. We love ourselves. So let us turn the page. Page number 4. The author mentions here, one feels tempted. Okay, one feels tempted to look into a mirror. When it is near, I took a look. In those days, I was a great admirer of beauty and I believed in making myself look handsome. I was unmarried and was a doctor. I felt I had to make my presence felt. I picked up the comb and ran in through my hair and adjusted a parting so that it looked straight and neat. Again, I heard that sound from above. Okay, next. Next. Okay. When it is near, so we get tempted to look into the mirror. When it is near, I took a look. So, now that is the thing. The author says in those days, it means he was very young at the time. And you know, when we are young, we are all great admirers of beauty. We always want to make others look beautiful. So he was a great admirer of beauty and he is believed in making himself look beautiful and handsome. Why? Because he was unmarried and he was a doctor. Now being a doctor and that too unmarried, he is an eligible bachelor. So I felt I had to make my presence felt. I picked up the comb and ran it through my hair and adjusted the parting. Okay, from above, this is what is happening. He took a book. He sat in front of the table to study, but instead of studying, what is he doing? He started looking into the mirror and immediately he took the comb and adjusted his parting. What is parting? The straight line. That what we have in our heads. Now we adjust our heads. So he started adjusting his heads, and what he do? He heard the same voice again. Now what is this noise coming again and again? The noise of the rats. There was a traffic of rats over the beam in his room. Okay, next paragraph. I took a close look at my face in the mirror. I made an important decision. I would shave daily and grow a thin mouth to look more handsome. I was after all a bachelor and a doctor. Now looking at the mirror, what did the doctor do? He made important decision. What is the important decision? That he will shave daily and he will keep a thin mouth. He will shave daily and he will keep his thin mouth. Why? To look more handsome. And why he want to look more handsome? Because he was a bachelor and he was a doctor. See the next paragraph. I looked into the mirror and smiled. It was an attractive smile. I made another earth-shaking decision. I would always keep that attractive smile on my face to look more handsome. I was after all a bachelor and a doctor too on top of it. The doctor is still standing in front of the mirror. What he says? I looked into the mirror and smiled. It was an attractive smile. He made another earth-shaking decision that is going to shake the earth. Earth-shaking here means very important decision. So he made another important decision. Let us see what is it. I would get. Okay. What is the decision? I would always keep the attractive smile on my face to look more handsome. He took that decision. What decision he took? To look more handsome. So that how he can keep his face handsome, how he looks more handsome, keeping his attractive face with a smile. So he is very much sensitive about the thing. So what was the second decision? The first decision was that he will shave daily and grow a thin mouth, and the second decision was that he will keep the attractive smile always on his face, and all these two things because he wants to look more handsome. There again come that noise from above. So he heard the same noise again. So he was quite familiar with the noise. So he is not very much attentive there. Next paragraph. Again came the noise from above. I got up, lit a beady, and paced up and down the room. Then another lovely thought struck me. I would get married to a woman doctor who had plenty of money and a good medical practice. She had to be fat for a valid reason. If I made some silly mistake and needed to run away, she should not be able to run after me and catch me. Next. So he adjusted himself and started pacing. Pacing means walking inside the room. Right. He lit up a beady and cigarette. I know you will be knowing that thing. So I got up. It's a lit a beady and paced up and down the room. It's a good thing. He wanted to marry a woman doctor with a good medical practice, plenty of money. Further, what is this? She had to be fat. Now this is a totally abnormal thing. He wants his wife to be very fat. Generally, what do people think? People want a thin or slender woman, but he says, I want to marry fat woman. Now, what could be the reason? Let us see the reason. What he says, she had to be fat for a valid reason. Valid means a proper reason. What is the reason? If I made some silly mistake and needed to run away, she should not be able to run after me and catch me. Now, that is the reason why he says, why he wants to marry fat woman. If he makes any mistake and if he had to run away, his wife should not be able to run after him and catch him. So that is the reason why he wants to marry a fat woman. So this is a funny thing again. Let us continue next paragraph. With such thoughts in my mind, I resumed my seat in the chair in front of the table. There were no more sounds from above. Suddenly there came a dull thud as if a rubber tube had fallen to the ground. Surely nothing to worry about. Even though I thought I would turn round and take a look. No sooner had I turned than a fat snake wriggled over the back of the chair and landed on my shoulder. The snake's landing on me and my turning were simultaneous. Here, he passed up and down for a while, right? Then again, he came and sat in front of the mirror and wanted to continue with his studies. So, what happened there? Suddenly, a thud sound came. Suddenly, there came a thud sound. Thud means it's a sound. When something falls, dhab. That is called thud. Suddenly, there came a dull sound. Okay. Arthur was not very much worried about it. Even so, I thought I would turn around and take a look. So he heard a noise. He wasn't very much worried about it, but still he thought of turning back and looking what it was. So he just turned back and what happened there, observed very carefully. Next, no sooner had I turned than a fat snake wriggled over the back of the chair and landed on my shoulder. Now, that is what happened. The third sound, which came as if a rubber tube had fallen, it wasn't a rubber tube, was it? What was it? It was a snake, and he was careless. He just turned, and within no time, the snake wriggled the chair. It came and it coiled round his arm. It happened simultaneously. He's turning back, and the snake wriggled over the shoulder. Both the things happened simultaneously together. So, what happened that? Then come to the page number 5. I didn't jump. I didn't tremble. I didn't cry out. There was no time to do any such thing. The snake slithered along my shoulder and coiled around my left arm above the elbow. The hood was spread out and its head was hardly 3 or 4 inches from my face. Simultaneously, it happened so fast. He turned back and within no more time, the snake wriggled over the chair. It came on his shoulder. That's how it happened. The snake slithered, it moved, and it coiled itself round the left arm of the author. The author is sitting on the chair. He turned, it came no more time to jump or to tremble or to cry. He can't do anything. There was no time to do any such thing. Next, the hood was spread out. Okay, next. No, I didn't jump. The hood was spread out and its head and was hardly there or 4 inches from my face. Here, the head of the snake, right, hood was spreaded. When it crawls, it is small. When it is angry, it is spread its head. That is called hood. When it is angry, the snake will spread its head. That spreaded part of the snake is called as hood. So, what happens? There the hood was spread out. Its head was merely hardly 3 or 4 inches from my face. The author was sitting and the hood of the snake was only 3 or 4 inches away from his head. Can he do anything? Can he move his body? So, no. See what happens. Next. It would not be correct to say merely that I sat there holding my breath. I was turned to stone, but my mind was very active. The door opened into the darkness. The room was surrounded by darkness. In the light of the lamp, I sat there like a stone image in the flesh. Okay, the author says, just saying that it is that I stood there stopping my breath is wrong. What actually happened? He says, I turned to stone. He absolutely became motionless without any movement. So he says, I was turned to stone. Outside it was totally dark. In the room there was only one kerosene lamp on the table. Like a stone image in the flesh. What is flesh? The skin on the body is called flesh, and he was sitting like a stone in the flesh. Next, I felt then the great presence of creature of this world and this universe. God was there. Suppose I sat something and he did not like it. I tried in my imagination to write in bright letters outside my little heart the words, "Oh God." Who is the creator of this world and this universe? The God. What is the author feeling now? I felt the great presence of the creator of this world and this universe. God was there. Now, this is a very tough time of the doctor and the moment. He was remembering God and he believed that God was there. How he says, suppose I said something and he did not like it. I tried in my imagination to write in bright letters outside my little heart the words, "Oh God." If he says something and if the snake doesn't like it, what will happen? The snake will bite him. So, what happens? Suppose I sat something and he did not like it. I tried in my imagination to write in bright letters, "Oh God, oh God, you had to save me." So he could do nothing. He understood that God existed, and if he did anything which he didn't like, then he will meet his death. There was here his left arm starting. Okay, next, there was some pain in my left arm. It was as if a thick leaden rod. No, a rod made of a molten fire was slowly but powerfully crushing my arm. The arm was beginning to be drained to all strength. What could I do? His left arm started paining. Why? Because the snake had coiled around his left arm. It was as if a thick wooden. It was as if a thick leaden rod. No, a rod made by molten fire. Okay, but it was a rod of lead. Lead is a metal. Lead rod. Then he says, no, not a lead rod. It was like a molten fire. What is molten fire? Like you see the lava. Lava is a molten light. Okay, so it was like a molten fire was slowly but powerfully crushing my arm. The arm was beginning to be drained of all strength. What could I do? Where is the death? The death was 4 inches away. Next. There was some. At my slightest moment, the snake would strike me. Death lurked 4 inches away. Suppose it struck. What was the medicine I had to take? There were no medicines in the room. I was but a poor, foolish, and stupid doctor. I forgot my danger, and smiled feebly at myself. Okay, so doctor is blaming himself. He is blaming himself. Suppose the snake bite him. What was he going to do? There were no medicine in the room. So he thinks himself to be a poor, foolish, and stupid doctor. So that moment I forgot my. So that moment I forgot my danger and smiled feebly at myself. Okay, next. It seemed as if God appreciated that. The snake turned its head. It looked into the mirror and saw its reflection. I do not claim that it was the first snake that had ever looked into a mirror, but it was certain that the snake was looking into the mirror. Was it admiring its own beauty? Was it trying to make an important decision about growing a mouth or using eyeshadow and mascara or wearing a vermilion spot on its forehead? Now, you should remember, where is the doctor sitting? He is sitting on a chair in front of the table. And what is there? In front of him, there is a mirror. So, what happened? The snake looked at its own image in the mirror. Now, here, the doctor has a doubt. The doctor is thinking whether the snake was admiring on his own beauty. Now, you remember just a few seconds before that, what was the author doing? The author was sitting, the doctor was sitting in front of the mirror. And he was looking at himself and he was admiring himself that he looked very handsome. He adjusted his heights. He decided to shave. All those things why he was doing? Because he admired his beauty. Now the doctor has some doubt with the snake and his thinks that the snake was admiring its own beauty. So see the thing. Was it admiring its own beauty? Was it trying to make an important decision about growing a mouth or using a shadow and mascara or wearing a vermilion spot of its forehead? Now he was doubt. He has a doubt that even the snake was going to take some important decision. The doctor has a doubt whether the snake going to take some important decision putting a vermilion spot. What is the vermilion spot? Vermilion means kumkum, right? Generally, women, they put vermilion spot on their forehead. So, he was thinking whether the snake was also planning to apply some eyeshadow or mascara. Now, there are all makeup things that generally women use. So, he is having a doubt whether the snake was to use all those things. Just turn the page. Okay, page number 6. I did not know anything for certain. What sex was the snake? Was it a male or female? I will never know, for the snake unwound itself from my arm and slowly slithered into my lap. From there, it crept onto the table and moved towards the mirror. Perhaps it wanted to enjoy its reflection at closer quarters. How? You say that it was thinking of applying mascara or vermilion spot, or whether it was thinking to grow mouth egg. Generally, males have mouth egg and vermilion spot, mascara, eyelashes. They are done by the woman only. The doctor had doubt. Now, this is an important thing happening. When the snake looked at its own reflection in the mirror, the snake was attracted to itself. It unwound from his hands of the author, and it slithered onto his lap. From there, it crept. The author thinks why the snake went close to the mirror. The snake wanted to enjoy its own image at closer quarters. Closer quarters means at the close distance. So the snake was trying to enjoy his own reflection, and it seems to be correct because the snake it unwound from the hands of the doctor and went close to the mirror. Next, I was no mere image cut in granite. I was suddenly a man of flesh and blood, still holding my breath. I got up from a chair. I quietly went out through the door into the veranda. From there, I leaped into the yard and ran for all I was worth. The moment snake left the author, he was no more and no image cut off granite. Till the time how was sitting. He was sitting like an image made of stone, but now he was no more an image cut in granite. I was suddenly blood. Next. I was suddenly a man of flesh and blood. Still holding my breath, I got up from the chair. Okay, next. He became a man of flesh and blood. A normal man, like a normal man. So the doctor stood slowly from the chair. Without any noise, he went from the door to the veranda. What he did? From there, I leaped into the yard and ran for all I was worth. Left means jumped into the yard and ran for all I was worth. Whatever energy he had to put all his energy, and he ran from there. See the next paragraph again. Next. Phew! Each of us heaved a sigh of relief. All of us lit beads. Somebody asked, Doctor, is your wife very fat? After hearing the doctor escaped all the people who were listening to his story, they were relieved. All of us lit beadies. Somebody asked, Doctor, is your wife very fat? He thought of one thing but had planned. Otherwise, opposite were what he thought. He thought of having a fat wife. What happened? No, the doctor said, God will, otherwise my life companion is a thin, reedy person with the gift of a splinter. Here, the life companion means wife. How is his wife? She is a thin and reedy person. Reedy means unpleasant. Unpleasant person with a gift of a splinter. What is the meaning of a splinter? Splinter means fast runner. So, his wife can run very fast. So, no chance to escaping. If he does anything wrong, he is going to get trashes from his wife. Next, someone else asked the doctor, when you ran, did the snake follow you? The doctor replied, I ran and ran till I reached a friend's house. Immediately, I smeared oil all over myself and took a bath. I changed into fresh clothes. The next morning at about 8:30, I took my friend and one or two others to my room to move in to my things from there. But we found we had little to carry. Some thief had removed most of my things. The room had been cleaned out, but not really. The thief had left behind one thing as a final insult. Okay. Next. The thief moving my things means stealing, taking it away. So, there was a thief at his home. The thief had left behind one thing, which the doctor calls as a final insult. What was the one thing the thief left? What was that? I asked. I means here, author. The doctor said, dirty one. What is the dirty one? Vest. What is the thief left behind? His vest. That means banyan, which was dirty. You remember in the beginning of the lesson, he says, not so white vest. So that bunion, it was left over by the thief. He didn't took it and he felt very insulted. The doctor felt very insulted. Which the vest which was lived there. The thief, he had such a sense of cleanliness. The thief didn't took the bunian because it was a dirty. Next, the doctor said, my vest, the dirty one. The fellow that had such a sense of cleanliness, the rascal could have taken it and used it after washing it with soap and water. Next, did you see the snake? The next day, doctor? The doctor laughed. I have never seen it since. It was a snake which was taken with its own beauty. Then, taken by its own beauty means it felt in love with its own beauty. Now, that is how the lesson come to the end. That was all about the snake and the mirror. I hope all of you understood and enjoyed the lesson. Yes, students, this is the very first lesson in this unit. In this part, I brought you only the lesson. Thank you very much.